We about to go global, hope the world understand. And we ain't even trying, man, it's flowing with ease. And I ain't never really wanted if it ain't Sudanese. A beautiful seed became resilient trees, or became power and greed. Loving is all we need, but either way, tap into the shop, man, we the culture. On the chest and on the back, it's everywhere like it's supposed to be.
Welcome back to episode 2 of Kultr-Konvos. Today we're going to be discussing embracing versus rejecting culture. Do we think the next generation will keep their culture, or do we think it's bound to change? As you remember, we're always going to start with one person at a time. They're going to go to the art station. You know, they're going to draw what they think. Today's theme is culture. So whatever they feel and resonate with, you know, put it out there on the canvas. Today we have Ali Adil, Ahmed Al-Walid, Mohammed Mahdi, and Fatma Mahdi. Does anyone want to start by going to the canvas? All right. So embracing versus rejecting culture. Who wants to let us know your thoughts? Do we think it's gonna remain in Sudan, our culture, or do we think it's gonna change?
I think it could change because post-revolution, I think a lot of things is changing. Like not only traditions, the way we carry ourselves, the way we do things in general.
To add to your point, whether we firstly, I feel there's a difference between culture and tradition, right? So traditions are things that can be made within, you know, a one single household. You know, it can be a family tradition, whereas culture is the overlying thing passed down through generations.
Are they not all like social constructs? Are they not all?
They are. I think they are.
We create both. I think maybe traditions and culture. But what's the difference between them?
So culture is seen as more grounded, and it's been passed down historically. It's something you can define a group of people with, whereas tradition can be limited to a few people, and only a few people can adhere to that certain tradition. You know, so if someone was to come from outside, they would view something done by the masses as Sudanese culture. And then if you get more specific into people's households or to tribes, that specific tribe has a tradition of doing X, Y, Z. But the whole populace has, you know, carries within their culture, they have certain things, you know what I mean? Also the concept of religion, I don't know how that fits in to culture.
I think it's very mixed with traditions, maybe. I think most of our traditions and culture is very...
So let's define it. What do you guys think Sudanese culture is?
I don't think Sudanese culture really, like, it's not the same as religion. And I do think that a lot of our traditions or like our culture is contradicting to religion in so many things, so many aspects. But I do think that the next generations should carry the positive things that are there from our culture, like our generosity, our kindness. But I do think that there's so many things that have been passed down and they're wrong, and the new generation starting to realize that these things are wrong, you know?
Okay, I think it's hard to differentiate culture from tradition because like they take from each, and tradition is how you said it perfectly. You know, it's about ممكن تكون limited to a certain space or a tribe or كده. Like in the overall culture is what tradition stems from, and I don't think you can address one and not address the other, and you can't take them separately. They're one thing. They're just translated differently. You said maybe a certain household or a certain neighborhood, and then it extends. Like it's all rooted from the same sort of set standards and set beliefs.
So let me.
How do you think that became into a culture?
Let me ask you a question. If you reject culture, what response would you get from the previous generation? So if you go, you say, you know, family want to do a grand big wedding for you, and you're completely, you know, your family situation is incapable of this standard of wedding, right? But they're very persistent and insistent on doing it. How do you, if you say to them, look, I don't want this wedding, we don't have to do this, and they say la lazim and stuff, what's their reason? Why are they so passionate about doing this thing, even if it cripples them?
Because it's how people view them. They feel that this is a social prestige that I need to come up this way.
That they don't want to neglect, you know, or they don't want to accept like not having that, you know, because everyone's having that in the family or within their friends, like, you know, within their social group. So they want to be the same. they don't want to like neglect that, you
So
know.
by that metric, everyone is suffering silently.
Exactly.
So they're all
Exactly.
trying to impress each other, and in that, that just has a...
Yes.
Fear of embarrassment. They
Yeah.
fear that they will be embarrassed in front of the people and their guests.
And there's also a problem with people doing things just because they expect the same thing to be done to them. Like, I'm just going to attend this wedding, so like when
They can
my
come to
son
my
gets
wedding.
married, they come. It just defies the whole point.
And you really don't care about that person. It also has, you know, a lot to do with hypocrisy as well. So it's not genuine. Some things are genuine and they're beautiful, you know, like for example في رمضان, you know, how الناس بتطلع وبتخد أكل برا في الشارع for everyone who's passing by. This is nice, you know, like I feel like this is something that should be carried on, you know. لكن في حاجات again زي like لا أنا I have to attend this wedding because or else يعني what are they gonna say about me مهم
So
يعني.
do you guys believe that who do you think decides what should stay and what should go, what we should accept and keep on passing on, and what we should reject?
The majority.
So 51%. If 51% of people decide this isn't good for our, you know, for us in whatever way,
Yeah.
for our culture. So is it not good in the sense that Sudan won't move forward, or how are you measuring, you know, how it's good?
I feel it won't affect Sudan as a country. It will affect the family. It will affect the person that's being forced to do the.
But I do feel like it will affect Sudan as a country لأنه يعني مثلا أنت في السودان لو أنت شغال في حتة كويسة أو ماسك حاجة the family expects you إنك تشغل أولاد العيلة or أولاد الترايب and we see that حتى في ال government you know يعني بنشوف الحاجات دي كلها إنه أنت في النهاية so I do feel like it affects Sudan as a country لكن يعني الناس المفروض تكون more practical لأنه الحياة برضو بقت ما زي زمان حسا with your phones وكده ال pace is really fast you know فما عندك نفس الوقت الزمان عشان تقدر تعمل كل الحاجات اللي كانوا بيعملوها ال generations اللي قبالنا يعني.
So do you guys feel that it's brave for someone to you know look at their culture, analyze it and say, you know, this isn't for me, I don't confine with this, I'm going to live my life how I want to live my life, and whatever the rest of society thinks of it, you know, so be it. But this is how I want to live my life. What do you guys think of that?
As long as you respect the society.
Yeah.
As long as you're not.
But going
offending.
against the society, isn't that disrespecting them in itself?
If it's something that I do not believe in.
If people expect you to show up at weddings and to show up at your family weddings, but you don't believe in this idea, if I'm not close to you, I'm not coming to your wedding. In a way, it could offend them, but you don't believe, you know, that's a sign that should offend them. So you don't do it, but then they could get offended.
As long as it doesn't hurt your core family, يعني your parents, your siblings, you know, your first cousins, like خلاص يعني, you know, then I guess yeah.
I think the conversation is more about like culture. The biggest challenge to cultures, I think, worldwide is globalization and how people of the world, because of internet and social
It's
media
eating
and
at
stuff,
culture, right?
Exactly, and people are becoming more global citizens than. And you would see in Sudan a lot of examples of people who the only thing that's Sudanese about them is their passport. That doesn't mean that they don't fit in within our culture. I think the biggest challenge to all cultures is learning to accept that in this new world, there will be new people, different thoughts, with different ideologies, with different things that could be very against everything the culture is built on, whether it's religion, race, whatever it is. But the biggest challenge is to get these people to accept, to get our uncles to accept that I'm not coming to the wedding of your third cousin because I don't know the guy.
That's a good point. The thing is, back in the day, this is what I feel culture stems from. Culture always made sense when it was created. So that generation, we could be creating culture right now that we're not aware of, that our great grandkids will look at and refer back to, and they start doing these things. Why did our great grandparents do this, man? I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? So do you believe in the idea if it doesn't make sense, if you can analyze this culture, you take it, you put it down, analyze it, and if it genuinely doesn't make sense, reject it.
100%.
Or conform with the society.
Definitely.
100%.
Every generation has a different view on things, given the implications, given the economical situation, given the technology. We don't know what technology will look like in 10 years. Like you can have flying cars, so you can have online weddings. You don't know how it's gonna go. So definitely, I feel each generation needs to have the responsibility to define their own culture without forgetting how they were brought up or what their roots are. But I feel if we keep moving forward with changing without reference, what do you belong? What
Do you think
belong
it
to?
died or not yet?
I don't think it died.
You think within our generation you still feel it's alive?
I don't think it died. I think it might have changed a bit.
Culture or traditions? Which one?
I think traditions. I think traditions. It changed due to the current situation, how life is now. Lakin definitely, I think we shouldn't change it as much as we should embrace it and try to make it aligned with our future or aligned with our present, rather
Has to
than
be
just
practical.
neglecting it just for the sake of I don't want to do it. Like you need to have a solid reason and something justifiable that you can justify.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
That's a good point. What if you have a friend who you know is not as open-minded as your family is, but she's your friend and she shares the same belief? Would you advise her to say
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't if her family is strict with
Yes.
it, because she's hurting her family, you know?
Okay.
But I wouldn't go there.
Okay.
Like it's her choice. If she decides to rebel, then that's on her. That's up to her. I'd support her in that way. Like if I see the bigger impact and انت ما في النهاية you balance it out. انت بتشوف is it like are the benefits more than the الcriticism اللي هيجيك ولا are you hurting someone by doing that? If so, then I don't advise her to do it, honestly.
About hurting people. What if she feels that the way she wants to represent herself and she feels free in is this certain wardrobe that doesn't fit with the culture? She shouldn't be doing it just to please her parents or whoever.
But again, انت ما بتشيز من الculture. انت ما بتشيز من الحتة اللي انت فيها.
Yeah, okay, and I understand that. Like, in the real question is, عشان أنا ما أشيز معناه أنا لازم أعمل زي ما هم عايزين أعمل and عشان ما أزعلهم وما أشيز, so I'm gonna have to be different and look different than what I think I should look like.
And I understand. It has a lot to do with hypocrisy وحاجات ما genuine الزول بيعملها. لكن أنت لما بتعملها, I just think it
Why
takes
can't my
courage.
family accept me for whatever I wear?
Yeah. And
Why
that-
can't they take me for the same way? If
Why
they love
can't-
me,
why can't
They'll
they
love
learn,
you.
right?
They'll love you, but they won't take it. يعني
then that means they care
if you have a
society
nose
more
piercing,
than-
Yeah,
if a guy has a
which is
nose piercing in
important.
Sudan, أحمد أولي ما بتصاحبه ما تكفر, you know.
أوكي، ما بيصاحبه.
في السودان
عشان
ممكن
بالنسبة
يصاحبه
له-
برا في لندن بيمشي بيمرق معه, لكن هنا في السودان ما
so the
بيمشي
problem
معه.
isn't in the nose ring.
it's not?
And
It's,
it's not in the guy.
بس عشان السوسايتي again يعني.
So are we going to progress as a society
That
if we
to be
keep
fair.
abiding with the culture?
But
No, and I do feel like these things are being like broken down, you know, generation after the other. يعني نحن ما زي our parents, ما زي our grandparents, ما زي
Yeah,
القبالة.
but the foundations is not still there, like
It's not.
the core.
Yeah.
ما هي لسه في neglect. لكن أنا غايته I think it's a personal opinion إنه أنا ما بكون داير أشيز, you know, and hurt other people. ممكن أشيز لو أنا ما شغالة بالناس اللي أنا يعني if I'm going to a work event, no one I really care about. لكن هم مثلا they're all Sudanese and they expect me مثلا to dress a certain way or to wear something specific and I don't feel like doing it and it's not at work. يعني مثلا if we're going for a team building activity, whatever, then I'll wear whatever I want, you know. I wouldn't really care.
is that's comfort though, right?
Yeah.
That's in itself, that's power for you to be able to know you have a safe space even if you choose to reject culture, to come back home and still know you're loved and respected.
Yeah.
That's elevation, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not a lot of people in Sudan are afforded that luxury, especially not women, right? So they're in a constant battle with modernization. So Ahmed said, we're getting to a place where you can see what the rest of the world is doing. You can really, more than ever now, see what's right and what's wrong, you know, because it's, you know, day and night what's right and what's wrong.
برضو another thing يعني انت yeah I agree 100%. لكن برضو حاجات برضو about right and wrong. يعني حاسة women are working, mothers are working زمان,
Which never used to
يعني
happen.
انت يعني ممكن يعني اصلا everyone will criticize you, your family, your in-laws, your friends, everyone. إذا انت you're not taking care of your children and you're working and this is not your job, you know. لكن حاسة people are starting to
But that's-
accept
But do you
it.
think
why
that's a
men used to
culture
be
thing,
men.
or it's just because economically, like
No,
it's a
culture.
really hard situation
Yeah, in
nowadays?
some
That could be a
situation
reason
that
too.
could be a reason. لكن برضو people are accepting it لأنه حاسة women are educated, girls are going to schools abroad, they're getting higher education, you know.
Girls are
they don't
more
expect-
higher achieving now than men are.
Definitely.
100%
I
in the
agree,
corporate
100%.
world and in schools.
Yeah. And they're
in a
very
successful
detailed.
society, women are achieving,
more progressive.
Because I also feel like because men like to يعني they don't settle down in one place, you know. يعني I'm working here, if another company offers me just a higher pay خلاص
course.
I'll leave. They have no loyalty, you know. لكن women are detailed, they like to come on time, and they can multitask, you know. Men لا لو انت قافلة معك, you can just simply not show up.
Yeah, but
work, you don't
to
go.
that point, that's why the top, the elitist of elite would be men, because of this rebellious behavior. You have a very small percentage at the top would be men, a high majority in the middle women. Then at the lowest end of the spectrum, you'd find men again.
Yeah.
لكن not necessarily, you know.
And
It's,
even-
no, this is it's a like
It's a fact,
right.
it's a
If
fact.
you look at it now,
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact,
especially
but
in Sudan. So, final question, guys, is just curious. So, do you feel that the next generation will start rejecting culture more, and so our kids and their kids, or do you think there's a chance it comes back stronger than ever? What's your thoughts?
I think everyone that doesn't have a reference will always be lost.
Yeah,
You need a reference.
I agree.
And I think we need
Thank you.
I think we need to embrace our culture, embrace the good things about our culture, and just let down the bad things.
Yeah.
There is no need to like neglect everything and just start on your own.
How can you define? Sorry. But how can you define the good and bad? Like
You personally, as a family, you can do that.
as an individual.
Exactly.
And I do feel like it's going to. I don't feel like the next generation will abide by our cultural norms and values, but I do feel like we should try our best. يعني at least the positive ones, the
It will
good
be
ones.
tough, right? It will be tough because
Yeah,
we grew
to
up in a
maintain them.
generation of social media where we are we're a different type of generation in ourselves.
Yeah.
So us having kids, to be very
But
curious
I
to
want to
see.
ask you a question.
Sure.
When you're scrolling through Instagram and you see like a nice picture of the old Sudan, don't you feel proud? Don't you look at it like?
What's the old
I don't
Sudan?
feel. I don't
What's
feel.
the old
I
Sudan?
feel like it was a
Feel
lie.
sad. I feel it was a lie.
It was a big
and
lie.
Sudan was just a small Khartoum made by the British.
Yeah.
The same photos keep recirculating time and time.
The same
I think it
roads.
goes deeper than that.
I
But
think-
it's not visible to us. I think we need to dig deep
History.
down.
You
deep
need to
down
learn your
and
history.
Find out
Yeah.
the roots of things. I think this
100%.
is why we have no reference.
But
Yeah.
why do you feel pride when you look at these old photos of
Because
Sudan?
I feel I came
Something
from, I came
you
from
belong
history.
to. Yeah.
What history?
To nothing.
To another exact.
Which history?
Below-
Like, in India,
below
were
that,
colonized
because I
by the
compared
British.
no,
Before the British, we had history.
What
We
history?
had the Black Pharaohs, for example.
Yeah, but that's a very long time ago.
That's
No,
that's
still
new.
your
Yeah,
history.
that's
That's
because
still your
what we know that
لكن هو people are
the-
actually trying يعني حسه الناس لما تجي تعاين للصور بتاعت الانجليز that's when they feel proud بيقولوا
That's
عين
when they
السودان
feel
كان
proud.
كيف عين
And-
السودان لكن
and-
ما شفت زول مع البلاك فيروز جا قال والله عين السودان
No,
كان
to be
كيف.
fair,
It's
Sudan
usually عم
wasn't.
الانجليز
Sudan wasn't even a Sudan as we know it.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
the English came, they drew the borders.
Exactly.
So if we go before that, there was not even borders. It was just Africa was open. The
exactly,
Kush
yeah.
Kingdom, you had the Nubian Empire.
Exactly.
It wasn't even Sudan.
so we weren't
I mean,
proud
they
of
weren't-
ourselves,
they were
we're proud of
Nubians,
being
like we-
colonized.
All right,
We're
guys,
proud of
I'm
the achievements of
gonna
colonizing.
reveal your painting now. If you guys care to explain, I mean it's a bit scary, guys, but you know, your thoughts.
Halloween vibe.
Does you
I
know?
have a question. If they change the code +249, what's going to be our cultural reference?
ما عندنا cultural reference.
You know,
has
I think we're good. You know, being a bad or poor or whatever low economically developed country, we copy a lot.
Yeah.
You know, so which is fine. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, but we don't even copy well.
That's
You know
true.
what I feel?
That's
like
100%
when I
true.
look at other African countries next to us, they're embracing their culture and keeping it, and still improving. You know, so it's what the problem is, we'll never know. But thank you guys for tuning into Culture Convos. Please stay tuned for more. Would love it if you can share, like, and also give us your thoughts. Share your comments. You know, it's an open conversation for anyone and everyone to join. Thank you.
Hope the world understand. And we ain't even trying, man. It's flowing with ease. And I ain't never really wanted if it ain't Sudanese. A beautiful seed became resilient trees, or became power and greed. Loving is all we need, but either way, tap into the shop, man, we the culture on the chest and on the back. It's every